Today, we got a stark warning of the very real effects of big oil's impact on the world. An Arctic scientist said global warming may have already passed an irreversible tipping point. And if, as the world burns isn't enough, big oil is also not paying taxes, not getting regulated, and ruining our politics. The very people who've been killing the planet pour tons of money into targeting progressive politics, specifically the organizations funded by the billionaire Koch brothers, Charles and the late David Koch. When he died in 2019, New York Magazine noted that Koch helped funnel billions into climate change denying organizations for decades, since his family made its money on oil and gas, naturally. And with his money, he founded Americans for Prosperity, the group that mobilized the Tea Party. Americans for Prosperity is still going, along with its other partners in the Koch network, waging a behind-the-scenes effort to stop progressive priorities like the For the People Act, and launching a Tea Party version 2.0 campaign to target President Biden's infrastructure plan, whining about spending and taxes, targeting lawmakers from both parties in 27 states. And joining me now is Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. And Senator Whitehouse, I am so glad you were available today because I'm that nerd. I watch C-SPAN, and I have seen your presentations with charts about big money and its influence on our politics. I am obsessed with this. Talk to me about how this works, because the Koch brothers, they funded the Tea Party. They are now backing this push to kill S1, HR1, the For the People Act. And they're now moving out of targeting just Republicans. They're also targeting Democrats like Joe Manchin.
Well, the Koch brothers and a couple of other creepy right-wing Republican billionaires have basically built out what in the intelligence community you'd call a massive covert operation. It's primarily for oil and gas. That's where it began, is to propagate climate denial and block climate legislation in its most powerful sense. It had worked for big tobacco before, but it really came alive to do climate denial. And like a good covert operation, they use anonymous money, they use cutouts, they use front groups, they use disinformation. They have people who pretend to be real scientists who can act like scientists on TV, but say complete non-science, if not, nonsense. So it's a really, really significant operation. I'm really glad you're paying attention to it because, frankly, we have not been attentive enough to it as Democrats.
Well, I think one of the things that gets buried in the conversation about S1 is the extent to which it is an anti-dark money bill. Joe Manchin used to be a backer of S1. He's a co-sponsor of the bill. Then all of a sudden, Americans for Prosperity posts this website, tells him be against the bill, and now he's suddenly against the bill. You had him and Kristen Sinema, another sort of, surprise conservative Democrat. I don't think that's how she ran. Didn't even show up today to talk with Texas lawmakers who are fighting for voting rights. So you have these organizations that are anti-voting rights. They want climate change science to be buried, and now they're anti-voting. But it's the money piece of it that we don't talk enough about. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if you connect the dots a little bit, Heritage Action, which has long been a part of the Koch dark money network, was the group that was caught recently with the clip from their fundraiser saying how they were anonymously funding voter suppression activities in all these Republican states, that sometimes the Republican legislators don't even know it's us, and that they work through what they ominously called sentinels in these places to hide their role. You had Leonard Leo, who was the mastermind of the court capture operation that pushed Gorsuch and then Kavanaugh and then Barrett onto the Supreme Court. When the Washington Post did their big expose about his $250 million scheme, he jumped out and he jumped to something called the Honest Elections Project, which does, guess what? Dark money funded voter suppression. And which, by the way, if you do the corporate links, it's related to the Judicial Education Project, which is related to the Judicial Crisis Network, which paid for the ads for Gorsuch, for Kavanaugh, and for Barrett. So it's the same central command scheme operating against climate legislation, operating for dark money, and operating to pull off this voter suppression stunt. And frankly, Democrats have had crap for countermeasures against it for a very long time. And it's really hard to fight a group like that if you don't take it seriously and take it on.
Well, that was going to be my question, unfortunately, is what can we do about it? Because, right, they also have these organizations like ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, that are also heavily involved in pushing cookie cutter legislation. There is that Heritage Action organization that they have a plan with ALEC to produce model legislation to write voter suppression bills. Because, again, if you just poll things like saving the planet from doom, and we are at this tipping point in terms of saving the planet from climate doom, we don't do anything, we're going to get past the point where we can stop it. Most people want to do something about it. They say, no, you cannot. And then they say, no, you also cannot vote, because we know that the majority would vote to save the planet. So my question is, us little folks out here who are not multi-billionaires and who just want our planet to continue and want us to be a democracy, what the hell can we do about it when people like Manchin, who has an impoverished state that needs infrastructure, who's got miners who are dying at age 50-something because they're in the mines rather than being changed into green new, sort of green jobs. What do we do? If he doesn't want to help, what do we do?
You've got to demand transparency and fight back and call on leaders of the Democratic Party to ask what their countermeasures are against this big operation. It's like the other side has an air force and we have none, and we're going to war. And we got to have our own air force to fight back against theirs. And ours will be an air force of like truth and light and exposure and transparency and showing who these rascals are. But we haven't deliberately gone about it. And to your point about these groups, they're actually scientists who study this stuff, who Democrats have not put to effective use. But they study this stuff, and they'll show that there are 50, 60, 80, 100 different front groups all operated in the same network. And that's mostly on the climate denial side. And the network can dial up whichever phony baloney front group it wants, like a pianist playing keys on the piano. And we don't bother to point out to the American people that this is a big piano that is being played by a bunch of creepy right-wing billionaires. And half of the stuff that comes out of it is completely phony, and it's all controlled.
Have you had this conversation with Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin? Because Texas lawmakers came up and tried to have a conversation with them, and they didn't show up to the Democratic meeting. They just weren't there.
You know, not precisely, but I'll tell you what. When we go at the dark money thing, I'm confident that we will have them. And the reason that I'm confident that we will have them is what you just quoted from Jane Mayer's expose, which we know from polling, and that is that a conservative Tea Partier hates special interest, anonymous, dark money, corrupting American politics just as much as the Bernie bro does. And the numbers are unbelievable. The numbers are off the chart. We poll in the high 80s and the 90s on fighting this. Independent voters on a related question poll 100 to nothing.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We can make this work because the public is with us.